Hey guys, there's this new movie called Hurry Minute, and it's pretty lit. It's about an Asian and a Negro who work together to bring the will of the feds on unsuspecting ops. Even though I've seen parts of the whole trilogy multiple times while growing up, I never actually saw any of the movies from front to back until now. But these guys are pretty iconic, and also you guys were saying I should go over it. So a couple days ago, I took the time to watch it, and as you already know, it's some heat. So now let's go over the plot. The movie starts out in the docks, somewhere in the east, with some guy trying to offload a boat or something. Then the main Asian guy starts dumping shells on the tryout for some reason, cause I guess the boat niggas also sell drugs part-time or something, but it looks like his main op got away. Then he tells a superior. Then some fetus comes up to him and is mad that she has to move to the land of opportunity, whereas other people from the third world are selling their souls just to be illegal immigrants, like get a life. But anyway, the Asian tells the fetus to go over herself, and that he'll see her when he sees her. The fetus and her father make it to the US, and he tells her he's gonna pick her up from school, so you know he actually cares about her for some reason. So then it cuts to the city, and there's some Negro trying to buy a bomb off a fat kid from GTA, but then 12 pulls up, tries to arrest him. But it turns out the Negro's 12 too, and he manages to beat the fat guy into submission, but the fat guy tries to escape, so the Negro is forced to take drastic action, and ends up blowing up the car. Back to the Asians, the fetus is being driven by an escort when 12 pulls up for some nonsense. But actually, it turns out it's not 12, but instead it's the triad, and they finesse the fetus, and immediately the feds let the father know that he couldn't be asked to keep closer tabs on a foreign official's daughter, and that they'll bring her back whenever. So the father tries to let them know that he knows a nigga that actually knows what he's doing, but they're not trying to hear all that. So back in 12 headquarters, the Negro's telling his law enforcement friends how he's a G for blowing up a car and injuring his co-workers, and also some hoe is mad because he didn't bring her along for the mission. Then the woman tells the Negro that because he's been tweaking so much, they're about to suspend him, so he starts feeling some type of way. The feds have decided that they cannot let non-Americans work with them because they're still mad about the whole Cold War thing, so they try to get the Asian main character to piss off. They decide to make somebody basically his overseer for the time being, and since they don't want to put someone of their suspiciously completely European task force, they decide to outsource it to the California cops. Then the cop leader isn't having it, so he realizes that he can just put it on the Negro, but he makes him think it's some actually important mission about rescuing someone's daughter, so that he doesn't try to make a move. So the Negro makes it to the feds' place, and they tell him that he's been hoed, and that all he can do is make sure the Asian doesn't come close to the actual detective work. Understandably, the Negro's in his feelings. Then he goes to a plane to pick up the Asian, and he starts acting up and talking to the Asian like he's a lame to see if he knows any English, and it looks like the Asian isn't hearing any of it, which just makes the Negro even more in his feelings. So the guy stopped by at some place where the Negro asks a recovering drug addict if he knows anything about kidnapping. Since he's obviously unhelpful, the Negro has to slip in some funds to jog the addict's memory, and then he tells him about some guy who's trying to build a bomb. But before the Negro can get anywhere, he realizes that the Asian guy did the dash on him, so he has to get in his ass, through buses, and later a taxi, and then he ups a pull on him, which causes the agent to finesse him, so he has to up another pull. But then the driver in the taxi couldn't just mind his own ass, so he pulls out his own strap, so that two guys who never met him can explain who they are, like nigga who are you? But the agent reveals he can speak English, so basically, he's just disrespected the Negro to a whole new degree. So once again, the Negro is justifiably hurt that he's been looking like a weirdo for the past few hours because of the Asian's nonsense. But at the same time, I kinda get where the Asian is coming from, cause you know, you can't be letting niggas know everything about you. Like he might have been trying to see if the Negro would talk heavy about him or something. But anyway, the two go into a bar, and the Negro starts bullying a man who's just trying to smoke his gas in peace, and then goes out to hit a look on it for himself, even though he's 12. Then the Negro makes it to the back room, and he points a stick at all the niggas there to let them know that he's about that, and he also tells the agent to wait outside. So once the agent is out of sight, it turns out the Negro and the mob boss are actually family, and the mob boss tells him to stop tweaking on him like that. But the Negro says he actually would do him cuts if he doesn't give him the information he needs, so the mob guy gives him some. But back outside, the agent tries to use Negro terminology to relate to the guys at the bar, but they can't go like that, so he attempts to beat the brakes off him, but since he knows the hidden arts, he manages to put them all out of commission. Then he bullies the same guy that the Negro was bullying when he first walked to the bar. Like, why the fuck is everyone on this nigga's ass? When the agent comes back to the room where the Negro is in, he has to play tough again, and then the two vacate the premises. When they get to the new location, the Negro handcuffs to the whip so that he doesn't try anything while he's gone. But when the Negro comes back, he finds the agent has disappeared. So the agent pulls up outside where the father is staying, and the feds don't try to have any of that, so they send like a million niggas to take care of it, yet they all can't handle just one single man from the other side of the world, which may prove just how unreliable this agency truly is. The agent manages to break into the building and stop the top two feds, and now he has to be part of the mission, I guess. Also, the Negro pulls up and starts being disrespectful to the gate men, but they let him pass through because they know he'll get his one day. So the Negro comes in the building, and while the feds want to go off on him for failing his very simple mission, they can't because the father's right in front of them, and he'll figure out that they tried to play him. So the Negro starts to big up his own role in the investigation. Then the feds get a call from the Negro who finessed the daughter and asks for like 50 mil to get the fetus back because he's really feeling himself. The Negro is able to stay on the phone long enough for the feds to find his location, so they send a task force to some rundown building to deal with him. But since the agent actually has a brain cell, he tells the feds to fall back because there's no way a nigga who wants that much bread is in a place that crusty, but the feds aren't trying to hear it. The guys there end up getting blown up, and the feds are given a new ultimatum, but the agent sees the op come out of the building and tries to get in his ass with the Negro falling right behind him. Eventually they make it to some other building and start throwing hands, but the op manages to get away again, and the agent gets mad at the Negro for letting it happen. So the two goes to the local 12 headquarters and meet up with the woman from earlier who was in her feelings because of the Negro. She was in the middle of defusing a bomb. Because of the Negro's nonsense, she was unable to do it, and it would have been the end for all of them if it was real life. Despite this, she still helps them, and she traces the bomb detonator that the op left behind to the GTA guy that the Negro stopped earlier in the movie. So the Negro tries to get the GTA guy to work with him, but he's not going, so the agent pulls the fetus card on him, and despite being a hardened criminal who has presumably put niggas on shirts in the past, thereby tearing apart families, he gets in his feelings enough to tell them who's behind it and what restaurant to find him in, and it turns out to be the agent's old op back in his home country. Meanwhile, the feds are preparing to give the ops the money they requested, but the two main characters see the op they were chasing enter a restaurant and decide to follow him in. They decide to let the Negro go in first because it's less likely that anybody would recognize him, while the agent stays behind as backup. But when the Negro gets in, he begins to act up as usual and be disrespectful to the waitress, but to be fair, she was trying to stall the progress, so she low-key had it coming. So she goes upstairs and tells the op that someone's looking for the boss, and it turns out the leader of this whole operation is some white guy. After some time, the agent decides to go into the restaurant to see what's going on. The white guy tells the op and his disciples to make sure the Asian and the Negro don't escape, and a waitress almost poisons the Asian while the Negro is taken upstairs to meet the boss. Right as the Negro comes into the room, he notices the white guy, but he quickly pisses off. Then the agent proceeds to do the Negro dirty and almost paint the house with him, until he tells them to put down the sticks and fight him like a man, but he should have been more specific because they didn't even give him the ones, like they just started punching him out. The op tells them to put him on the papers, but right before they can do that, the agent pulls up, and with the Negro, they start dropping niggas left and right. Then the white guy shows up to the feds and the father to provide support because he's a snake. It turns out the makers made things worse because they ruined the deal that the op was trying to make. Now the feds are taking them off the case, and the father is pissed at the Asian because he disgraced himself or something. So the ops are asking for even more money, and they say that if anything goes wrong, they'll turn the fetus into a ghost. Also, the white guy tells the father to accept the new arrangement because he'll really come out on top because of it. So the feds send the Asian back on a plane to his home country, while the Negro is sent back to his old position. But while the Negro is driving, he decides he can't let it go, so he asks the bomb woman if she can help. Then he finishes a uniform and gets the Asian out of the plane ride so that he can get over what he did and redeem himself. During some Asian culture artifacts thing, the father makes a speech about his ancestors or something, but the Negro causes a distraction so that everybody can be out of the way for the climax. The feds have had enough of his nonsense, and they try to put a stop to it, but the white guy gets exposed when he hands off something to the op, and then the white guy tells the feds that his remote controls a bomb that's dropped on the fetus, and if they act up, she's getting blown to another dimension. He reveals that he's been acting woozy because he's mad that all his stolen Asian artifacts are being returned to their rightful owners. So the feds start running phase with the ops, and the Negro makes it to the truck where the fetus is. After taking out the guard, he finds the fetus, and she's wearing the bomb, and if she takes it off, then it'll blow up. So the Negro calls the bomb woman to help him defuse it. After that's done, they give the bomb to the Asian, while the op from earlier tries to run off with the funds. He gets stopped by the Negro, but it turns out the op is not a man of his words, and he tries to spark the Negro up, but the Negro wasn't going, and ends up murking him anyway. While this is happening, the agent's still on the white guy's ass, but eventually, they're both left hanging from some high place. The white guy falls up, and takes the bomb with him, while the Negro moves some currents so that the Asian doesn't bust his ass. With the day saved, the fetus punches the Asian, because he didn't pull up faster, and because she's ungrateful. Sometime later, the feds approach the Negro to offer him a promotion, but he basically pisses on their faces, so they're hurt. The movie is with the main characters going on a plane to the agent's home country so that the Negro can get a chance to experience a world outside of the San Andreas that he knows. This movie is pretty lit. I mean, it wasn't anything too lit. It was good enough that I think anybody who hasn't seen it might as well. Not really many lessons to take from this, but if you're in a different country, don't try using their slang because you might end up making yourself look like a bum in the process. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.